crafty friends. It's Diane, the Creative Inkster. Today is Monday, April 25th, 2022, and I'm here for a creative escape. So thanks for joining me. I'm really glad to have you come along for the ride. If you're watching live, please leave me a comment. We can chit-chat and connect together that way. And if you're watching on the replay, I like to know that you're there and that I've reached you, and would love to see what you're working on as well when you take this layout or whatever we're teaching tonight and make it your own. So here was the sneak peek of tonight's card that I was going to show you, but I'm not even going to do this one. I'm going to do something even more different. These are our brand new in colors. There are 5 that come in every year in May with the new annual catalog, and the other ones that we had the previous 2 years, they will move out of the line. And with this card, I use the Count on Me stamp set, which you can still get. It's still in the new catalog coming out on May the 3rd. And it's got some really cute images, pretty adorable ones, I'd say, and then some helpful greetings that are maybe a little different than your typical happy birthday, thinking of you, that kind of thing. Hi, Debbie. I'm having a great day. I'm really glad you're here. Thank you. I hope you're having a good one as well. So there's our Count on Me. And that's why I was mentioning in the directions that you want some 1/2-inch strips. And you'll notice this one is just a little bit shorter. That's probably going to happen as you do that. But they're 2 inches wide by 1/2 inch tall. And we're going to layer them onto a black piece to help them really pop off the page. If your colors here were very subtle, then you might use a different color, but I think the black really shows it off. And then a little focal point of some kind. We're going to do a little splattering and add a greeting to it. So this is the card I made for tonight. It's also one I've put on my team page because we're doing a challenge this month through to the middle of May that encourages everyone to use their new in colors. And so this was my entry for that. As sort of an idea, this was not a new idea to me. It came off this one I did last year when these new in colors came in. And so I pulled this guy out to use it as my template. So instead of using in color cardstock pieces, though, I'm going to show you how to do exactly the same thing, but instead we're going to use some pattern paper. So you get the same basic idea. Here is your piece of black, and it measures 2 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's going to go the full length of the card base. It's a standard card base, which is 8 1/2 across by 5 1/2 down. That's great, Debbie. Good to hear. I hope you have some decent weather. We had the most gorgeous of days yesterday. It was 24, 25 by the end of the day here in Ontario, and it was sunny and just absolutely gorgeous. Stunning, stunning. All right, so we have our basic card base, and we have 11 pieces just so that there's enough to go the whole length. And if you've trimmed them off, you trim them off. And this time I'm using the Designer Series paper, inked. I knew I'd forget it. Should have written it down. Let me pull it up here. You can still get it. It's still available. Look at how worn this catalog is. This is, I still have lots of it left, Expressions in Ink. And some of the images aren't the full width of the paper. There's some white space on them, but I tried to pick some patterns where I can pull in some of the old olive, polished pink, and peach, or sort of a yellowish tone to it. All right, 18 today, but windy. I'm hearing a lot of wind, definitely hearing a lot of wind. So there's my 11 pieces. And I've got a focal point. So on my sample card here, I just cut out the puffin last year. And for this one that I did this year, I did a circle. I've done a rectangle that's stitched, and that's what I'm going to put my image on. And we're going to get started by flecking a little bit onto this card. You can use your Stampin' Blends for this. I just would recommend you be very, very careful with them. The Stampin' Blends tips even this one here, which is the one you'd need to use, the brush end, is much more delicate for this technique, if you know what I mean. You stick the cap just on the edge and you press and flick against it to transfer the color from the nib onto your paper. And so I kind of try to stick away from that with my blends and use my Stampin' Write markers, which are a whole lot thicker on the end. The tip is not quite so, I don't even know what the term is. The nib is more compact. All right, so for doing this technique, we want to make sure we have a nice crisp fold on the card so that it doesn't sort of partially pop open. And I'm having it on a little bit of an angle here. And I'm going to take my three colors, polished pink, shaded spruce, and Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to do this technique. On our Stampin' Write markers, there are two ends. There's one with a big whiter line and then a thinner white line. The thicker white line is to indicate that that's the brush tip end. That's the one I'm going to stick into my cap, pull it off, stick it into the cap, and holding it about 2 inches over top, I'm just flicking. I'm just gently giving it a tap. I did try this with one of my other markers a few weeks ago, and it barely had enough juice in it, so it was really starting to dry out. That one, it was gray granite, I think. So it depends on the juiciness of your marker. This one's perfect for this. I'm just giving a little flicking action. So there's adding some polished pink specks, and I'm going to go and take my shaded spruce, and I want to be a little careful. This is a really dark color, so it can come out quite thick, so unless it's one that's sort of drying out, and I just want to make sure I don't overdo the shaded spruce. Oh, see, having said that, look at that. It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty dried out. It'll soon be time to buy a new one. So I'm going to take my shaded spruce of my Stampin' Blend. I'm going to show you how I carefully use this for the technique. So once again, sticking it in the cap and flicking it ever so gently. I think you could possibly tap this on a bone folder or something. I'm just adding a little bit. Like I said, I don't highly recommend this for a lot of long-term use because it can be a little hard on your blends, but that's added a different level of dots. They're much thicker blotches. And then back to my third color, which is Daffodil Delight. I don't think it really matters what order you do them in. Let's see, how does this go? This guy's fairly juicy, so I should add some yellow to it. And all we're doing is just adding a bit of color to our basic white cardstock and making it a little less stark. Alrighty. There we go. We have three colors on there, almost a bit like a bit of a rainbow. Hi, Glenda. So there we have it. That's our card base all ready to go. Let's move over to our cardstock. So this is the black that's 2 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's going to go the full length top to bottom of the card base. And if you're like me, I never cut it perfectly well. So I see my card base, when I shore it up here, is a little bit longer. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and snip it off a bit. Could be that that black is a little bit shorter. I don't know. I'm never perfect at cutting these down. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a haircut. No one's going to be the wiser. It's still going to fit in an envelope and it's going to look lovely. So now when I shore it up, look at that. It comes right to the top. Okay. So take your piece of black and grab all your patterned paper, or if you're going with in colors or a group of other colors, then you can pick those colors to go with. And I agree with you, Melanie. I love that little spritzer thing. I'm thinking I still have it somewhere. Basically, folks, what it was a little sprayer, and you'd stick your Stampin' Write marker in it, and it would push the air at it and stick them out. It was kind of a cool little tool. It's been a while now since it's retired. All right, I'm just taking a quick look-see at lining these up here. I think I have 5 patterns. Not sure. Let's see, we'll add, that's a little bit too much of that. So let's get back to some nice shaded spruce and some of that and a pink. And I'm not really worrying too much about all my colors matching up perfectly. I like that color there, and then this one down here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10. So if I cut this right, that should fit just perfectly, but I've got an extra piece in case I need to add it on. All right, so basically it's a matter of adding your adhesive. I like liquid glue for this because if it's not perfectly aligned, I'm going to be fine. You could line it up against your paper like this, and it'll help you. You've got it at the 1/8 inch mark on both sides here, and then it helps you line your first one up. The key in anything like a pattern is to get that first one straight. So there we go. Unless you're going for an off straight or an off sort of pattern, but if you want them to end up straight, it does help to start with the first one being that way. And so really any pattern paper that's got a small enough pattern, oh, see what I can see already that I've got a little bit less on one side than I do on the other. That's okay, I can trim this down a wee bit. It's not going to matter. No one's going to know what I intended to do and that it was supposed to be 2 1/4 inches wide. Don't tell anybody, okay? And I'm just putting glue on them and butting them up one against the other. Hey, it's good to see friends saying hi on there. It's nice when we find our friends, right? So we had still some fairly warm weather. I think it was upwards of 19 at one point today, but rain. But that's okay, we need rain. We don't need as much rain as you get in BC, but we do need some rain or those flowers and the grass will never grow. So we need that. And I'm not too concerned if mine get a little off center. That's been known to happen, especially when I'm talking. All right. I think this would make a really cute set of cards in different colors and different patterns. And it's so easy, which is what I like most about it. But I hadn't thought when I started it that I would use anything but cardstock. And then I got to thinking, well, you know, our pattern paper would be perfect for this. And the stamp set that I'm using is called Senior Years. And as we're nearing the very end of our annual catalog life, which is May the 2nd, many of our stamp sets have already sold out. This is one of them. So I'm really sorry. No, Whitney, it's not actually a bookmark, but it could be. So what we're going to do, we're going to make a card. So I'm just using this on top of my base, and I've done some flicking of ink onto my card base so the white has got a little bit of life to it. Yeah, so I was saying that we have the end of our catalog year, so you can use anything on this, honestly. Senior Years, I had it for quite a while, and I've only just put it together. And I always end up with a little less than a ½ inch at the top or the bottom, wherever you want to stick it, and that's okay. I'll trim it off. I'm not too concerned about it. All right, but yeah, this would make a cute bookmark, wouldn't it? Oop, line that edge up. There we go. And then you see it's hanging over the edge a little bit. I'm going to snip that off with my paper snips. Grab those. It's not quite dry yet, so maybe I'll give it a moment to dry. And it's going to go on the card like this. So actually, I can glue it down and then snip it right off. So I've used basically colors on my flecking or flicking across the edge. I've used colors that are in this pattern paper, with the little exception of using some yellow instead of the peach. So I want to see, this is at 4 1/4, so I want to see that it's centered. Oh, I was going to trim it too. That's okay. I'm fine with it. Not going to overthink it. That's totally fine. I think anyone who receives a handmade card is not going to be looking at it and saying, oh, can you tell she's off by 1/16 of an inch? No, they're not. Trust me. Even a card maker isn't going to look at it and say that. All right, let's grab your card, the stamp that's going to be the focal point. I'm using the gal, or the lady, from senior years. She's going to go on here, and then I'm going to do some coloring in as well. Okay, where's the block? There's the block. So if I'm going to color in with my Stampin' Blends, I want to use Memento black ink. That's because this is a water-based ink, and the markers are alcohol-based, and that's a good match. All right, let's get you lined up here, young lady. There we go. Looking good. And the three colors I picked are some that are already in here. And that is the peach, sorry, the daffodil, the light shaded spruce, because it's a nice color, but it's a pretty bright, bold color. And then this here, I think I'm going to leave her dress as kind of white for now. You can overcolor some of these images. I don't really want to do that. So she's got her pearls and her fancy shoes, which are in polished pink. And I can see a little glimmer on the ink that's not quite dry, but pretty close. And then these are her earrings, so we're going to do them in as if they're solid and not sort of gold bangles. Oh, we got to add something to her glasses too, the top edge of her glasses. Add some pink there. So all of her various very pretty adornments match. And then we're going to color in her skirt. Now this is the light shaded spruce, and it's pretty dark. One thing I could do if I had it close at hand is lighten it up with the color lifter. It's okay. I'm good with that. Okay, so now it looks like her sweater does need something to go with it, doesn't it? Let's go bold and add the yellow. Why not? Daffodil Delight. She's going to be really bright on this one. I thought the yellow, leaving it vanilla would, or white would look nice, but I think it really does need a little bit more. I've not actually used this stamp. Whoop-de-doop-de-doo. Here we go. Get around the edge. So this stamp kind of reminds me of the show that I'm watching on Crave. So I've watched 2 episodes of The First Lady. I don't know if you're watching it, if you have access to it. I think it's on Stars, but I'm getting it on Crave. It is fabulous. It is about 3 first ladies of the United States: Betty Ford, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Michelle Obama. So they're all about 40 plus years between them, and the stories of them becoming first ladies and how they're supporting their husbands and such. It's fascinating. I'm not really a political person, not too interested in all that kind of stuff, but oh my goodness, these are all amazing women with fantastic lives of their own, and how they've gotten into this role and how they want to make it their own. Okay, that looks a little funny, but anyway, that's what this sort of reminded me of, is just with her dress being a little bit like that. Okay, so there she is. Going to go on here, and I'm going to add a happy retirement to it. I'll grab my stamp. Okay, wait a minute. What did I miss? Re-ink in the chamber. Oh, yes, 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 yes. You can re-ink them. Not so much, not the blends. I haven't found a way myself, but certainly open if someone else has. So this, what I loved about this stamp set, and I realize I've just told you it's no longer available, but if you have it at home, it's kind of cool. It feels like we're friends forever. We've been friends forever, and then on the inside, you can put, which is weird because we're both 29, right? True. And retirement has its ups and downs. You get up and you lie down whenever you want. I'm looking forward to that day. So happy retirement. This is a sort of an event I don't tend to have a lot of cards for, retirement. Put this on the block and ink it up. And I'm going to hand cut it out just to make life easier. Oh, need to stamp it again. It's because I'm using one block. And not doing a good job. Ever do that? That's okay. A couple of times works just fine. It's a small greeting. I don't mind. All right, so now I have it over here. I can hand cut this out. It's a pretty squared off or rectangular greeting, so it doesn't need a lot of fussy cutting around it like it would a different greeting. Tomorrow night I'm back. I'll just tell you while I'm finishing this part off. I'm going to be on a little earlier, not 7 Eastern, but 6 Eastern, because tomorrow night is my Avid Stampers class. So we start at 6:30, so that it doesn't go too late for people. And so to make this not go too late, I will do exactly the same thing, and I will be on at 6 Eastern time. So that's 3, 4, and 5 starting in the west, if you want to join me. All right, let's add some dimensionals. Pop this guy up, or this lady up. Where are they? Here they are. Right handy. They're here. And we are going to do, I'm just looking over my shoulder, we're going to do a technique for Technique Tuesday. I need to do a 3D. It's been a while since we've done some 3D items. I'm doing a number of things because my daughter is expecting and I'm hosting a shower. So I've got a bunch of things coming up that I'm working on. So I'm going to show those to you, and they'll probably make a headline in a Technique Tuesday to show you how to make them yourself and use them for your needs and interests and so on. Okay, happy retirement. I don't want to cover up too much of the paper because it's so pretty. But I'm going to just kind of stick this guy over here like that. There we go. Happy retirement. And then we've got some embellishments to add to this and make it a little bit nice. So these are the 20, 21, 23 in colors. This, what I call really yellow type, is actually supposed to be the pale papaya, but to me it really looks yellowy. So I think it's going to be perfect for our lady here. Let me know what you're watching on TV. Always looking for something new to watch. Something interesting. All right, there's our lady done. Happy retirement. So you can use designer series paper, you can use cardstock, whatever you want to do. Pick a color scheme and let her rip. They're all 1/2 inch by 2 inch pieces, and then you just lay them onto a darker, I think, or a contrasting color. And there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for popping in. It was nice to craft with you. Have a wonderful day tomorrow, and I'll see you back at 6 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow night. Bye for now.